for joining and welcome to Designers Live Plus DETAUX. At Designers, we design learning experiences for design enthusiasts who want to jumpstart and kickstart their career in UI UX designing. Today in the session, we have Chetan, who is a product designer at Sprinkler and an alumni of IIT. He has had a very interesting journey and will surely give you some insights from his own journey. So without any taking extra time, Chetan, I hand this over to you.
Hey, Chetan, I have a question.
Hi.
So I've been skimming through a lot of portfolios that have been selected for Google and Microsoft and all of these big MNCs. And what I've observed is all these portfolios, they have a very diverse, they have diverse projects in their entire portfolio. It might include a AR project, a VR project, or some where there is a coding, there's a coding project as well. So do you think these things, as I'm currently a third-year student from MIT, so I'm kind of learning on all of these new stuff, and I'm kind of looking out for what can be done and what cannot be done. So do you really think that these things are essential to set us apart, or just a good, succinct, and to the point portfolio would do the job as well?
So I myself have been pondering over that question since a lot of years, because I myself wanted to get into some of these. Two factors. Firstly, I've noticed that these big MNCs in the US generally hire from master's courses in these top Ivy League universities. One is that, and that is honestly not in our control. But there are people who have gotten in even without having that background. And you're right. The most important thing that I noticed in these people is that they have a multidisciplinary approach. They are good coders. Someone has a degree in psychology, so they understand people really well. Someone is a fashion student. So they have a very diverse approach to every problem. And I think that is something that I can't speak for the company, but this is something that I've noticed too. It's good to have. What I suggest is you build yourself in a T-shaped format. What is a T-shaped format? In a T, you have a vertical line and a horizontal line on top, right? So make a vertical line UX design, know everything about UX design, have in-depth knowledge about it, and build a horizontal line on top, which includes knowledge, little bit of knowledge in other domains. It could be rocket science, it could be biotechnology, it could be development. But this kind of T-shaped people are very likely to get hired by these MNCs. That is something that I definitely recommend if you're looking to apply to these companies.
Sure. Thank you so much.
I want to ask that I've researched a lot about how portfolios are a deal breaker when people are hiring you and all of that.
Yes.
So is it okay if you have a normal UX design course that you've done online, certified, and you get into a proper portfolio, you give them what they want, or is it really necessary to have a degree?
It's obviously not required to have a degree. A lot of UX designers in the industry have come from various backgrounds. A lot of engineers are turning into designers, which is why you need a strong portfolio. Even if you went through a bootcamp at some UX place, just having the brand of that bootcamp or saying that I went through this bootcamp is not enough. Your portfolio basically does the talking for you in your absence. So, which is why, again, I'm stressing on having a good portfolio. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, as long as you have a comprehensive portfolio, which covers the points that I was talking about earlier.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, like everybody's asking, they're coming from different backgrounds. I myself come from an engineering background. I'm still in my junior year, and I was pretty interested in. I just came across, I think, UI UX through getting my feet dirty in topics, I guess. So I was pretty interested in this, but as a beginner, complete beginner without a lot of prior knowledge, I'm pretty confused where to start off. So do you know anything that could be helpful?
How much have you read about UX design? Are you just entering into it, or have you read up certain articles and have an idea about
I have read up articles, but I wouldn't say enough to make a decision or something. So I just say
Okay. So there's two ways you can take this up. Three actually, but the third one is not something I'd recommend. Firstly, you do self-learning. Every thing required to become a UX designer is up on the internet. Looking at people's journeys and so Medium especially is a good tool where you can learn about the different concepts in UX design, like cognitive overload or those technical details, right? Just a 5-minute read on a Medium article gets you enough knowledge that is required to not become a comprehensive UX designer. But yes, self-learning is definitely an option. Secondly, boot camps are a good way. There are a lot of boot camps that have come up, including I think Designers Lab has also their own bootcamp. So you can go through a bootcamp. They'll run you through the end-to-end process. If you feel like you're not so self-motivated and you might not be able to cover so much on your own, bootcamp helps you with guidance. They help get you to interact with people who've already been through this before and let you basically get to the pedestal where you can start walking on your own. So bootcamp is the second choice. Thirdly, this is not something I'd recommend, is going for a Masters of Design course in some college. I've honestly not found that very helpful because it is time consuming, takes 2 years of your time. And secondly, it also takes a lot of money. So that is the third formal way of going about it. But once you go through the basics of UI, go ahead and put up your portfolio and start building a database of companies that you want to apply for. and go. Since you're in your junior year, you have one more year, right? So
Yeah.
try to do an internship as soon as possible. Companies look for 2 to 6 month interns. So whenever you get that time slot, try to go for an internship and see if it works for you, because right now you're just interested, but you haven't tried it yet. Once you've tried, you'll know for sure if you want to do this for the rest of your life. So do an internship since you're in college. Before that, you need to follow the steps that I told you. Figure out UX, put up some projects, and start emailing people.
I have a quick question. I've been in a UI UX role for about a year now, and I primarily work on mockups with a little research. I do conduct like feedback or any client feedback to product designers on my team that conduct that research, but I don't have too much participation in it. So my question to you is, how can, in pursuit of a UX role that I'm going up for another job now, how can I showcase my mockups with little research, UX research?
Okay, very interesting. So you're basically saying that you've had a lot of experience in making the mockups, but not on the research side, right? You've been more on the end. Okay, so since you worked in teams, it's a good idea to start off with projects that you've already done. You can mention that you were involved in the final outcome and you developed the final mockup, but you can also put in the documentation of the actual research that was conducted. I'm sure you were involved in some way, even though you might not have been the lead, but put it out frankly on top, saying that you were involved in the last stage, but you were there throughout the project. So document it in its entirety, because UX recruiters are looking for what happens before the final mockups come up. So if that is not something you have access to, then you can work backwards. If you have your final mockups and you know the problem that you were solving, you can come up with your own process of how you got to the solution from the problem. And if you know the design process by now, so portray it in your own way. It does not need to match with what you worked on in the company, but figure out your own backwards process of how it went from problem to solution. This is not the ideal scenario. You'd want to go from problem, follow the design process, and come up with a solution. But since you have a unique case here, you can work backwards just for the purpose of documentation and focus more on the process itself.
Excellent, thank you.
That was good. Excuse me, Chetan, I just wanted to ask you a question. How can I contribute my artworks that I'm sharing on Behance, and how can I increase the watches of them and to make them reach more people and make them more valuable? How can I do that?
What I've noticed on Behance is visual projects. So a lot of visual projects are the ones that get a lot of visibility. On Behance, good UX projects is not equivalent to more number of views. A lot of UI projects generally trump over UX projects over there, because people are just scrolling through visuals. So if you really want to get as many eyeballs as you want looking at your projects, make it as visual as possible, make as many motion prototypes as possible, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of views.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.
Chetan, Shrishti has a question. Till when we have to make ready portfolios for a good internship? She's in third year NIT and she's engaged. So she's asking till what time she should make a portfolio for good internship.
So it completely depends on when your companies hire based on first come first serve basis, because the number of roles that they have is very less. So I suggest that if you're looking to intern, now due to COVID, the timelines have sort of shifted, but ideally on a normal scenario, I would ask you to finish your portfolio by January end and start emailing by Feb beginning, so that you could intern somewhere around March in your summer holidays. So this would be the ideal scenario. Jan end should be your target.
My name is Byron. I work for a fairly large corporation, and I work in a non-design role, a non-tech, non-design role now, but I work on a team that interfaces and serves like a middleman between internal customers and developers. Okay. So I have an opportunity to kind of have my hands on different parts of our internal tools and other business units. So I want to, right now I'm working on an internal project with the developers and a senior UX designer. And I've been kind of doing my research on what's going to make me the most attractive when I actually go up for a UX role. Do you think it's more important that I create a portfolio that is more user focused, or a portfolio that shows I understand the needs of the business?
You are dealing with both business stakeholders and users, right? Depending on the role that you're applying for. Say you're applying to SaaS-based companies as a UX designer, they would really appreciate how you took care of business needs and brought it into the final design. And if you're going for a B2C company that is basically direct to consumer, focusing on how you empathize with the user would be more important. Although in both of them, in your ideal case study, you want to put up how you solve both situations, how you solve problems of the business stakeholders and the users. But depending on where you're applying for, give more focus to that. So B2B would give more merit to your client needs, and B2C would give more importance to your user needs. I hope that answers your question.
Hello, Chetan.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to ask a question that as I'm new to UX and as I'm about to graduate now, so the problem I'm actually facing while applying in the companies is that each and every good company is asking for at least 2 to 3 years of experience in UX. And the problem I'm getting is that I don't have the experience to apply for the job, and I also want to learn as well. But the thing is this, I don't know that where I can learn good without entering these companies, because entering in these companies would be a kind of, it is actually recommended by people that directly pursuing into some product-based company will actually bound you in some certain guidelines in which they are actually working on. So would you actually recommend me some design studios that can actually push up my skills? Like I have heard, I don't know whether they're actually good or not, like Think Design and NTLIs or something. So do you have some suggestions about them?
Yeah. So this is exactly how I started my career. I worked at a design consultancy. I interned over there called Huge Designs in Pune. And this is my sort of turning point in my career, because I got to experience how the UX process works. And answering your question about whether you should apply to studios, yes, I think it's definitely a good direction to take. They're not very stingy on your experience, and you get to grow more over there, because as design studios, they cater to multiple clients across, say, health, fashion, e-commerce, and you get to work on different domains, unlike a product-based company. So working at or interning at a studio is a great way to start it off. And if you do a little bit of research, you'll get a list of companies in Bangalore, Pune, Delhi that would be more than happy to have design interns. So compile your own database, figure out the person of contact who you want to hit up on LinkedIn or on email, and create a email body along with your portfolio link and CV, and start emailing them.
All right. Okay. So the only concern I'll be having is that I don't have someone's direction to actually comment and tell me that, okay, you're doing good, or I mean you're doing good or not.
So since you do not have experience in the industry, it's a good idea to start off as an intern. So you can apply for an internship, which you can later convert, do a 2-3 month internship, and as you grow through it, you can convert it into a full-time role. And the expectations from an intern's portfolio is not as high as a full-time person's portfolio. So even though you might not have perfect guidance into how to curate your portfolio, you still have a high chance to get hired as an intern. And if you really need direction, you can, like I was mentioning earlier, getting into a bootcamp would really connect you with people who have been in the industry, who know how recruiters work, and who also have ties with recruiters. So I assume that they also know these studios, and they help you even after making a portfolio to get into one of these places. So bootcamp might be a good idea for you, since you're mentioning that you need guidance and help with recruitment as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Firstly, you mentioned how there are good boot camps and how they would help. So can you suggest me some good boot camps in India or some online course provider in India?
Okay, I'm not really. So I never personally went through a boot camp. And I just know that they exist. And I never had, since I had a formal degree in design, I never had the need or the opportunity to attend a boot camp. But I think just Googling UX bootcamps in India would give you a good idea. And you can read user reviews. I'm sure Designers Lab is a good bootcamp. There are lots of them coming up. So I'd request you to do your own research and don't be biased by what.
And you answered someone saying that there were 3 ways to get into UX. One was self-learn, second was bootcamp, and the third one was to get a degree.
Yeah.
So, and you also mentioned how there are like people coming from different fields into UX. So yeah. I have done my bachelor's in marketing. Okay. And I have no idea how to make a website. So how am I supposed to make a portfolio, like self-taught, and make a portfolio without knowing how to make a website?
Okay. So if you feel like you can't make a website, okay, there's 2 ways to go about this. One is you either use a third-party web hosting service like Behance, where you don't need to build anything, you just put it into a compilation and drop it over there in your profile. Or if you want to build a website and you don't want to learn how to code, there are no-code tools. You can check them out. You have Squarespace. Squarespace is a good templatized website. And for more control, there is something called Webflow, where you can build your own portfolio. There's another one called Card, C-A-R-R-D, where you don't need to learn how to code. There is slight learning, but you can basically visually create a website and make it functional. But that is if you have the time and energy to go that way. And drawing back to your marketing background, you must have done a lot of case studies around how to sell a product, how to even drive feedback of a product, right? So bring that into your presentation style. And that is something that will give you that edge over other case studies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So guys, you got some interesting insights from Chetan's story. Thanks a lot, Chetan. It was an honor hosting you. Thank you for joining this detox session. I will see you in the next one.